is atheism as a philosophy or a point of view really all that new or revolutionary, and to people of faith who seem to have something against atheism, or at least some do. Again, I don't want to generalize here. Is atheism a menace to your faith? Now, that's an interesting question that I think ought to be pondered, because one would only assume that a competing idea, or an idea that's competitive to one's own, is only a menace because it has the potential to debunk your idea. Now, I would hold that anyone whose faith is legitimate simply practices their faith and isn't much worried about what anyone else says. That's good. That means that your faith is more or less, shall we say, unshakable, or at least it's solid enough inside you that you're not too concerned about what anyone else says. The only people that I could assume, the only people of faith who would fear religion, or fear the attempts of another religion to convert members of your faith to somebody else's faith, are those who believe that the position is weak enough that such a assault, shall we say, is possible. Now, I wonder if things have ever been different than this. I wonder if the simple days of faith that our grandparents think about or talk about ever really were real. Because ultimately we don't know what anyone else actually believes. You can go to St. Peter's Square in Rome, where everyone goes out and raises their arms when the Pope comes out, and they feel this ecstatic sense of validation of their faith. This could also go for the people going to the Kumbh Mela in Allahabad in India, where you have those countless millions of people all gathering together. The Hajj in Mecca. Now, I wonder if it doesn't occasionally occur to the people in these gatherings, in these mass religious meetings, what's going on in the head of the people around me? What do these people actually believe? Do they really believe in any of this, or what does this mean to them, all these people that are doing this? Is this really about faith at all, or is it simply about a social thing, a set of habits, a set of practices, the repetition of creeds, of prayers, of religious activities, as it were? And do we have any way of knowing whether or not that's all it is? Do we have any way of knowing what's going on in here? Now, I don't think that we really do. I can't see the universe through somebody else's eyes. I can't tell what somebody else believes. For all I know, throughout the entire religious history of humanity, nobody has ever believed any of it from the beginning. I don't know. I can't tell whether or not even the founders of religion actually believed any of the stuff that they were propagating. The assumption generally is that they did believe it, otherwise they wouldn't be saying it, but ultimately at the end of the day we don't know. I was raised as a Catholic, and that thought did occur to me occasionally in sitting there listening to the priest spiel off his whatever that I didn't really understand, I didn't pay much attention to, and in my child's mind I didn't really think that I had to make any sense of it. To me, religion meant going to church, going to the proper holidays, doing things like this. It didn't really have anything to do with what I actually believed. And of course, children inevitably start to ask themselves these sorts of questions because children are infinitely curious. And then you start to wonder, am I alone in this? Am I alone in this congregation where what the priest is essentially saying is entering here, meeting absolutely no resistance, and exiting here? It's possible. I don't know. I don't know. And maybe this supposed falling away of religious faith that seems to be taking place is simply an expression of the fact that no one ever believed it in the first place. If people actually believed in the faith that they were following, there would be no present falling away of religious faith. The religion now would not see itself to be under assault by apathy or unbelief. And they wouldn't worry about competing things like Sunday shopping, the internet, all kinds of stuff that you can do on the Sabbath. They wouldn't be concerned about the decline in religious observance. Because if no one ever believed it in the first place, and again, this is something we can not in the very nature of things know, then what difference does it make if these people, these unbelievers who go through the motions of belonging to a faith, are now falling away? We don't know what these people actually believe, and we never have. So what does it mean to be religious? I would posit the view that to most religious people throughout the history of faith itself, they do it simply out of habit. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not actually telling anyone that their religion is garbage because they don't really understand it themselves. If it gives some sense of tranquility inside you, why shouldn't you follow it? By all means. But it's to the people that actually fear the encroachment of some other idea upon their religion. I have to ask these people, if the people who you believe are a part of your group actually believe their religion, you have nothing to worry about. They can't be converted away from something that is part of who they are. If they look like they belong to your faith group and they're likely to be drawn away, don't worry. They don't believe it already. They never have. And throughout the history of religion, there must have been an awful lot of people exactly like that. Now, having said that, this argument, I suppose, can be applied to atheism as well. How many atheists do you know? Okay. How many of them actually believe that there is no God and believe this unshakably? Well, Joseph Stalin, the arch-atheist, was, as we all know, originally trained in a seminary as a priest of the Eastern Orthodox faith. He spent a large part of his time as a dictator of the Soviet Union, hunting down, killing, persecuting priests, sending them to the Gulag, smashing churches, this kind of thing, and generally being a big enemy of religion. Well, it's now come to light 100 years after, rather, I beg your pardon, 50 years after his death, that there's a good possibility that in the moments of crisis in his life, i.e. when the Germans attacked the Soviet Union, when he thought he was going to be overthrown by his own accomplices, he went to confession. Stalin, the arch-atheist, went to confession to relieve his soul of the burdens upon it. We don't know what anyone else believes. We never have. If we bear this in mind, what do we care what anyone else says or believes? Thank you.